HOA Karen damaged BBQ tables, fined $140,000 and replaced them. The park was silent, save for the faint sizzle of charcoal and Karen's piercing voice demanding, "Who put my table so close to the grill?" Nobody answered. They didn't dare. In the small, tight-knit community of Willow Creek, Crestwood Park was more than just a patch of green. It was the heart of the neighborhood. Families gathered every weekend under the sprawling oaks, kids chasing fireflies while parents swapped stories over sizzling burgers. The park's 6 sturdy oak BBQ tables, handcrafted by a local carpenter, were the centerpiece of these gatherings, their polished surfaces etched with decades of laughter and love. To the residents, they weren't just tables, they were heirlooms, symbols of unity. Karen Mitchell, a recent transplant to Willow Creek, didn't see it that way. She'd moved into the cul-de-sac 3 months ago, her sleek SUV and manicured lawn screaming outsider. From day one, she'd made her presence known. She complained about the unruly kids playing tag too close to her hydrangeas, demanded the HOA repaint the community mailbox because its shade of blue clashed with her aesthetic, and once called the cops on a teenager's birthday party for being too loud at 7 p.m. Karen wasn't just a neighbor, she was a storm, and Crestwood Park was about to feel her wrath. It started innocently enough. A sunny Saturday in June, the park buzzing with the annual Willow Creek BBQ Bash. The air was thick with the scent of grilled corn and ribs, laughter echoing as kids darted through a sprinkler. Maria Gonzalez, was there with my 2 boys, helping set up the dessert table. As a single mom and the HOA's treasurer, I'd spent weeks organizing the event, ensuring every detail from the playlist to the extra charcoal was perfect. The BBQ tables gleamed under the morning sun, each adorned with checkered tablecloths and mason jars of wildflowers. Karen arrived late, her high heels sinking into the grass as she hauled a designer cooler and a stack of disposable plates. "These tables are filthy," she announced, loud enough for half the park to hear. She dumped her cooler on table 3, ignoring the carefully arranged centerpieces, and began wiping the surface with a wad of paper towels. I bit my tongue. The tables had been scrubbed spotless that morning by volunteers, but Karen had a knack for finding flaws where none existed. As the day wore on, Karen's complaints grew louder. She scoffed at the potluck offerings, store-bought coleslaw, really, and insisted on rearranging the seating to optimize flow, shoving families out of their spots. By noon, whispers rippled through the crowd. "Who does she think she is?" muttered Mrs. Patel, slicing watermelon. "She's acting like she owns the park," grumbled Tom, the retired firefighter who'd built the tables years ago. The trouble escalated when Karen decided to take charge of the grills. She'd brought her own premium charcoal, claiming the community supply was substandard. Without asking, she dumped her charcoal into the main grill, sending a plume of acrid smoke into the air. "This is how you get a real sear," she declared, tossing a stack of steaks onto the flames. The crowd exchanged uneasy glances. The grill was already packed with burgers and hot dogs for the kids, and Karen's charcoal was sparking wildly, embers dancing dangerously close to the wooden tables. I approached her, trying to keep things civil. "Karen, maybe we should stick to the regular charcoal. It's safer for the tables." She spun on me, eyes narrowing. "Safer, Maria? I've hosted barbecues for hundreds. I know what I'm doing." Her tone was sharp, dismissive, like I was a child meddling in adult affairs. I stepped back, not wanting to escalate things in front of everyone. But I could see the embers glowing brighter, some landing on table 2's edge. By mid-afternoon, the situation was spiraling. Karen, now self-appointed grill master, was barking orders at volunteers, rearranging coals with a metal poker and splashing lighter fluid with reckless abandon. "It's fine," she snapped when Tom warned her about the fire risk. "These tables are old anyway. They could use an upgrade." The crowd gasped. Tom's face reddened. He'd spent months crafting those tables, each one a labor of love for his community. Then came the twist none of us saw coming. Enter Lila, a quiet 16-year-old who'd been helping with the kids' games. Lila wasn't one to speak up. She was shy, always sketching in her notebook by the park's edge. But she'd been watching Karen all day, her pencil pausing as she took in the chaos. Lila's dad had been Tom's apprentice, helping carve the tables years ago before he passed. To her, those tables were a piece of her father's legacy. When she saw an ember ignite a corner of table 4, she didn't hesitate. She grabbed a bucket of water from the sprinkler setup and doused the flames, soaking Karen's designer shoes in the process. "You little brat!" Karen shrieked, her face contorting as water dripped from her skirt. "Do you know how much these cost?" Lila froze, bucket trembling in her hands. But her eyes were defiant. "You're burning my dad's tables," she said, her voice low but steady. The crowd fell silent. Karen's jaw dropped, then tightened. "Your dad? Oh, please. These tables are a fire hazard. If anything, I'm doing you all a favor." That was the spark that lit the fuse. The crowd erupted. Mrs. Patel stepped forward, brandishing a scorched picnic basket Karen's embers had ruined. "A favor? You've destroyed our park." Tom joined in, his voice booming. "Those tables took me 6 months to build. You don't get to waltz in here and ruin them?" Even the kids, sensing the tension, stopped playing to watch. Karen, cornered, doubled down. "You're all overreacting. It's just wood. I'll buy you new ones, better ones." But it wasn't just wood. The damage was catastrophic. By the time the fire department arrived, called by a neighbor who'd seen the smoke, 4 of the 6 tables were charred beyond repair, their surfaces cracked and blackened. The 5th had a gaping burn hole, and the 6th was scarred from embers. The park, once alive with joy, now looked like a battlefield. The table's ruins a stark reminder of Karen's arrogance. The confrontation peaked as the fire chief assessed the scene. "This was preventable," he said, glaring at Karen. "Lighter fluid on an overloaded grill. Embers everywhere. You're lucky it didn't spread to the trees." Karen tried to deflect, blaming the faulty tables and careless volunteers, but the crowd wasn't having it. I stepped forward, my voice shaking with anger I'd held back all day. "Karen, you were warned. You ignored everyone. This is on you." The fallout was swift and brutal. The HOA held an emergency meeting that night, the community center packed with furious residents. Karen, still defiant, showed up in a pristine white blazer, as if dressing the part could erase her actions. But the evidence was undeniable: photos of the charred tables, Lila's tearful testimony about her father's legacy, and a fire report pinpointing Karen's reckless use of lighter fluid as the cause. The room buzzed with outrage as Tom presented a repair estimate, $140,000 to replace the custom tables, factoring in materials, labor, and historical value. Karen laughed a sharp, nervous bark. "That's absurd. They're just tables." The room exploded again, voices overlapping in a cacophony of frustration. Mrs. Patel stood, holding her ruined picnic basket. "Just tables. They're our history. You don't get to destroy our community and walk away." Lila, sitting quietly in the back, raised her hand. "My dad carved his initials into table 3, she said softly. "It's gone now." The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. The HOA voted unanimously Karen would pay the full $140,000 plus an additional fine for violating park safety rules. She'd also replace the tables, matching Tom's original craftsmanship, no shortcuts, no upgrades. Karen's face paled as the numbers sank in. "You can't make me pay that," she sputtered. "I'll sue." But the fire report was ironclad, and the community's lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman who'd lived in Willow Creek for decades, was ready to counter any legal tantrum Karen might throw. In the weeks that followed, justice took shape. Karen tried to dodge the fines, listing her house for sale as if she could flee Willow Creek's wrath. But the HOA, backed by the fire department's report, filed a lien on her property. Her SUV was repossessed when she missed payments. Her pristine lawn grew patchy under neglect, and her social media, once filled with smug posts about her perfect life, went silent. The community, meanwhile, rallied. Tom and Lila led a fundraiser to restore the park, with neighbors donating time and money. Lila's sketches of the old tables became the blueprint for the new ones, each one etched with her father's initials in his honor. By autumn, the new tables stood proud in Crestwood Park, their oak surfaces gleaming under the first fall leaves. The BBQ bash returned, bigger than ever, with Lila cutting the ribbon on the restored tables. Karen was nowhere to be seen. Rumor had it she'd moved to a condo in the city, her reputation in tatters. The park was whole again, but the scars of Karen's recklessness lingered in the community's memory. A cautionary tale of what happens when arrogance meets carelessness. As I watched my boys run through the grass, laughing with their friends, I couldn't help but feel a quiet pride. Willow Creek had stood together, turning Karen's destruction into a chance to rebuild stronger. But the question lingers, was the punishment too harsh? Or did Karen get exactly what she deserved? Share your thoughts. What would you have done?